What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Tatted Addicts podcast. I am your host, Noise. With me today is a friend of mine, Katrina.
Hello.
Today's episode, we are going to talk about overdose. It's a pretty heavy one, pretty serious topic, but it matters. And if this reaches even one person, then it's definitely worth our time. So if you're not equipped to talk about overdose or it's triggering, we just want to make sure that you understand that's what we're talking about today. So yeah, Katrina, recently, well, how long ago?
7 years ago.
So 7 years ago, lost one of her children's father to overdose, which is very tragic. Not to mention, we've all lost people to overdose. So that's kind of what we want to touch on today and kind of a few different aspects regarding that. So, Katrina, let's just get into it. You said his name's Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about him. Who was he, kind of before his addiction? And
So Matt was my son Liam's father. Before his addiction, he was into hunting and fishing. He loved camping. His family had 40 acres up north that he spent a ton of time on. So he was just always outside, hanging out with friends, skateboarding, just super active and funny, smart, charismatic.
okay. So what would you say you guys' relationship was like at its best?
At its best, we were always outside, having fun, laughing, camping. We always found something to do. We were never inside sitting still, just always on some sort of adventure. So at its best was just always laughing and adventuring.
Okay. A lot of memories and things like that.
Yes.
Did you guys only have just the one child together then?
Yes, just Liam.
Okay. How old's Liam now?
Liam is 8.
Okay. So you're talking about, all the memories and things he was into. When would you say you started to see him change from, being in love with those things to, kind of, usually addiction almost transforms us into a whole different person, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When would you say you started seeing those kind of things take place?
Well, we met in IOP, which is a program where addicts learn skills to stay sober. It's 3 days a week and it's a really short program. So our goal was to stay sober together, and we both just started feeling the pull towards addiction when just everyday life hit, like depression, anxiety, just everyday problems, stress, financial issues, and the addiction pull is kind of just always in the back of your mind. So that's when it kind of started, the pull started.
So from there, it kind of like probably snowballed.
Yes.
And when did you start to realize that things were actually like changing and start seeing those changes take place?
We lost interest in going outside and doing stuff together. We lost interest in going up north and camping. We fought all the time about money. It was just, we were always irritable and anxious with each other.
Toxic.
Yes.
Fair to say toxicity took place.
Yes.
So then when did you guys realize that things were actually getting serious, like as if, it was a lot harder, there wasn't really a way out, like we're kind of trapped in our, active addiction?
We were broke all the time. We were sick all the time. We weren't doing the stuff we loved. We couldn't hold jobs. That's when we realized it was getting out of control.
Right. Now, did Liam, did he come along before the addiction started, or as it was taking place? How did that kind of play into it, like having a child?
Liam came along as the addiction was taking place.
Okay.
Liam was born, he was a Suboxone baby. I took Suboxone to stay sober while I was pregnant with Liam. And then he was born addicted to Suboxone, so he was in the NICU for 10 days, but he did totally fine. And then he was discharged, and Matt, his dad, overdosed 10 days later.
Oh my gosh. Liam was 10 days old?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I know that had to be really, really hard.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about like that day, like what was going through your mind.
I don't remember much from that day. I was there, like, just, it was all such a blur.
Mm-hmm.
I remember texting his mom to kind of ask what happened, and I had a 10-day-old baby, so I was, already sleep deprived, and
Mm-hmm.
so
Preoccupied.
yes, so it was just all such a blur. I don't remember a ton, but yeah, just really shocking and sad, and yeah.
I'm really sorry to hear that. I couldn't imagine. Looking back on those days now as, recovering or recovered or sober, whatever the case may be, like looking back on those situations now, are there signs that you can kind of replay in your head that, are different now that you didn't even notice back then during, those times?
What I wish that I guess I would have picked up on is him using alone so much. I was so busy with the baby and, myself and figuring out my emotions. And I just, like, a lot, I didn't notice a lot, I guess, about him using alone, and, more attention should have been paid to that.
Right. Do you blame yourself?
I do. I did, and I still do.
What about that situation makes you feel like you should be blaming yourself?
Because I was super pregnant and had a newborn when he was really struggling, so I was not always the nicest. I was like crabby a lot, and a lot of pregnant women are. But I wish that I would have been more understanding and supportive of what he was going through also, because he was struggling with the exact same things I was. He just wasn't carrying a child. So I wish that, I do blame myself and wish that I would have taken more time to make sure he wasn't alone and that his needs were being taken care of.
Okay. So kind of walk me through that day a little bit more. Like, did you guys speak that day that you remember, or anything like that? Was it just kind of you hadn't heard from him and then you
Yeah,
found
I
out?
hadn't heard from him. And then I found out through a friend on Facebook, actually, because
Man.
his family was understandably, like, just, going through so much.
Correct. Yeah. So you had to find out through social media, which is insanely. I mean, that's a crazy way to find out.
Yes.
And unfortunately nowadays, like it seems to be pretty common that that's how people are finding things out like
Definitely.
that. You know what I'm saying? After all that took place and things kind of settled down, what did life look like for you and for Liam after that?
Life was totally different. It was preparing to raise a child without his dad, preparing to have to explain to Liam when he's older how his dad died. And it's always been so important to me to be very upfront and honest with my kids, Liam especially, about how his dad died and about addiction. So life has just been, after that, was just survival. Um, gathering resources, building a support system, trying to maintain my sobriety. And yeah.
What do you say? You say trying to maintain your sobriety. once all that happened, did you like immediately start to go into recovery, or did you go deeper into using before you started getting clean? I
It
know
was,
it's kind of like 50-50.
yeah, it was 50-50. I struggled at first. I relapsed immediately after he died.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up getting into Pine Rest Freedom House, which is a rehab for moms with babies.
Oh, wow.
So I got to bring my son with me to that rehab. I'm finally 4 years sober from cocaine and fentanyl.
That is huge.
Thank you. Kind of struggled on and off, kind of in and out of rehabs, but finally got it together 4 years ago, and I have been sober since then.
That's so awesome. That's huge.
Thank you.
Um, and I hope you like, you give yourself credit for that.
Thank you.
That's, I mean, the hardest part about addiction is getting out of it and getting out of it alive and being able to be in that chair that you're in right there to talk about it and hopes that like someone else can gain something from it. What would you say is something that people don't understand about addiction, about drug use, about overdose even?
It changes your perspective on everything. You will never look at the world the same. It changes your brain chemistry. Just if you are an addict, it literally alters the chemistry of your brain. You think differently, you feel differently. When you love an addict, it changes how you feel about people, changes how you love people. Yeah.
So if someone listening today is struggling with addiction, what's some advice that you'd give them? What do you say?
To not give up hope. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, even if it feels like today is the end of the world. And it's just awful. Sobriety is so worth it. You can do it. Anything is possible. Just do not give up hope and take it minute by minute if you have to, day by day, because sobriety is so beautiful and so worth it.
That's awesome. So this might be a little personal, but if Matt was here today still, what's something that you wish you could have told him that he might not have known?
That I love him and that this too shall pass and that life will get easier and he just needs to not give up hope and just know that you can find happiness and it will come to you. You just have to keep trying and life is worth it.
It's really good. Good advice. Does your son ask about his dad often or anything like that?
Yes, this year especially was hard on him. He's at the age now where he's, when they do Christmas projects at school and stuff, he notices that he doesn't have a dad to give it to, and it makes him sad. And so this year he made like an ornament to leave at his dad's grave site. So he misses his dad every single day, and I'm always honest with him about what happened, and I answer his questions as honestly as I can. And we have lots of pictures of his dad around the house, so we remember him as much as we can and, make sure his face is everywhere.
That's awesome.
Just
Never
always
gone.
check in on your loved ones. If they've been quiet for a little bit, reach out. Show up at their houses, ask how they're doing. Just constantly check in, constantly let people know you care, constantly tell them you love them. Just make your presence known.
So we were talking about resources available. We were talking about the IOP that you were speaking on, and then what the Freedom House you said?
Yeah, Pine Rest Freedom House is a rehab where mothers used to be able to bring their children. I think you still can. Look into it. Obviously, if it's something you're interested in. There's also a mothers and baby program at Pine Rest that's really good. You can bring your children to. Network 180 and Arbor Circle are super helpful. And Turning Point is a detox center that is super helpful too. Those are local Grand Rapids resources.
Okay. Have you ever heard of the Red Project?
Yes.
Familiar with them?
Yep.
They've actually reached out to us. I'll be meeting
Matt's
with
mom worked with them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we actually have a meeting with them on April 8th. They want to partner with us, so that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Let's talk about this tattoo. What does this tattoo mean to you? What does it represent?
My faith.
Okay. Something that you probably found once you got sober, I'm
Yep.
assuming, right?
Yep. This
Okay.
faith and yeah.
So let's talk about, you said you've been sober for what, 4 years now?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about triggers. Let's talk about, the bad days through sobriety and compared to the bad days when you were in active use. I know myself now, if I have a bad day, the thought of relapsing pisses me the fuck off, right? So, people, we'll have bad days and we'll spout out stuff, and people start to worry about us because they know that our past is addiction, and it used to kind of offend me, like, man, you really think that low of me? Just come having a bad day, then I'm gonna go and the older we get, we understand why that mentality is there. But the older I notice that the farther into my recovery I go, if I am mad or I'm triggered by something that 5 years ago would have had me calling up whoever or going wherever to get what I need, now I'm like, just it would piss me off to even think that I would do that.
Yeah.
So I just find I'd rather hit the gym or go for a 5-hour walk, because I do those kind of things when I'm dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can confidently say that relapse is the furthest thing from my mind, even on my worst days.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, speaking on your end of things, would you say that that's a similar?
Definitely. Yeah, I've developed so many coping skills and so many things. Relapse is absolutely the farthest thing in my mind right now. Couldn't do that to my kids either.
Right. So your kids come into play.
Mm-hmm.
Are you dating since this happened? Do you have like a significant other now?
No,
No?
I have been single for 4 years.
For 4 years?
Yes.
That's not a bad thing. Working on you, that's good.
Yeah.
So, well, the reason I ask is, like, if you are having a bad day, you have a support group that you speak to, or
Yeah.
do you have people that you check in with?
Yeah, I have
still?
my mom and my friends, and I love to read, and I read the Bible, and I pray. So
That's cool.
I built my own little support group.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you write at all? Or?
I do write. I write
do?
poetry too.
Okay. Poetry's a good outlet for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if someone out there is struggling with addiction, the biggest thing you want to do is make sure that you're reaching out and that people know, because sometimes people don't know. I went to a funeral this weekend of a friend of ours that we lost to addiction, to overdose, and it was kind of hard to witness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, like, most of the people in that person's life just were unaware.
Right.
And so the ones that were there behind the scenes, we showed up and found her, it hits a little different than the ones that were up there at this pulpit, giving their memories and everything. Because we had never met that version of that person.
Right.
We met them while they were in active addiction. So being at that funeral and seeing, the pictures of their face up on the screen and things like that, it was like, we never met that version of that person.
Right.
So that's another thing too, is communicating and not being afraid to voice that you
When
might
you're
need
struggling.
help.
Yeah, absolutely. Reaching out.
So another thing we want to do is encourage people, like, if you are using and you're stuck in active addiction and having a hard time quitting, is to make sure that you're not using alone. Like, make sure you have somebody around you, And I'm not saying, like, giving you an excuse to go get high with your friends by any means. But, I mean, nowadays it's just too dangerous. The things that they mix with drugs that are causing fatal fatal doses, it's just not fun anymore. It's not cool anymore, you know? Yeah, do you have anything you wanted to say regarding that?
Yeah, just, I mean, even if it's just talking with somebody online, just, make sure somebody knows where you are and what you're doing. Always keep Narcan with you in your car, at your house. It's so easily available now.
Right. Yeah, it's literally free in a lot of places, and there's no shame in having it. I mean, I have it in my home, and no one in my home uses drugs, you know. We have one here at the shop. You never know. So
Yep.
someone might pull in here and overdose in my parking lot, you know. It's unfortunately that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're not alone. There's definitely a way out. There's definitely help. There's definitely resources. The bottom line is, until you want to get clean and until you want the help and until you want to be better, nobody can save you. The only person that can save you is you.
Exactly.
And that's the hard truth. There's the argument that addiction's a choice or addiction's a disease, and honestly, I think that it's kind of both. Your first hit of anything, drug-wise, is definitely a choice, but the sickness, the disease of addiction begins after that initial choice, right? So you're not choosing to be addicted. You're not choosing to be stuck in addiction by any means. And there's people like we were talking earlier before we started recording about our childhood and the medications that we were on as a child and how that led into our adult life. And, basically, in my opinion, is somewhat responsible for the addiction and how it took place.
And how your brain formed and
So
all of
that's
that.
where like the disease part definitely plays a part in that as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the addiction itself isn't the choice. It's definitely a disease. Well, Katrina, it's a pleasure to have you on my podcast.
Thank you so
we've
much
been
for having me.
friends on social media for years and never even met in person until today. So
Yes.
what a crazy way to finally meet in person. But what better way than to be able to sit here together and encourage people, because I'm sure we started being friends on social media when we were both in active use, if you're only 4 years. And you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So I know you've been around for a while. So it's a pleasure to have you. I know you're nervous and stuff, but you did a really great job.
Thank you.
And I
Thank you
think
so
that
much
people
for having
really
me.
benefit from what we spoke on today.
Thank you.
So that being said, we want to make sure, like I said before, if anyone's out there struggling, get a hold of us, get a hold of somebody. If you have a story that you want to share that you think would be cool that people need to hear, message our page on Facebook, the Tatted Addicts Recovery Podcast. We have pretty good list going, but we're going to get everybody on this show that wants to be a part of it. We appreciate all the love and support that we have. Make sure you guys tune in every Sunday night. We drop a new episode, so make sure you guys are hitting that like, subscribe button, sharing it with your friends, copy the link, send it to whoever. Help us get the word out. We're only going to snowball into a bigger, better system and setup. So we appreciate everybody. You guys have a great night.